Hey YouTube, I just got back to Texas from Ireland. I had an amazing time. I wasn't even necessarily going to post this video because I didn't mic it or have great audio. However, I thought the information contained in this video was absolutely insane and really good. And I am lucky to work with Adam and Dave Egan and like ECU Master, Zach and Duarte and Cody Slack and who else? Chelsea Nova and Matt Field and all these amazing people. James Dean's coming in, Nakamura. So anyways, we're constant, and Valino Tires. But there's so many influential people within drifting that we get to deal with and talk to, and they share all their thoughts and feelings and everything so candidly when they talk to me for you guys on YouTube and also for myself so I can go back and watch this. It's absolutely insane. So I really want to thank these guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. And I just want you guys to enjoy this. It's kind of an odd video, but it has so much information because we're just driving to the airport. And I genuinely just don't have enough time to film on some of this stuff. So I just squeeze it into when I'm in a garage talking to the low origin guys. I go to, Darren McNamara's shop and I shoot. I'm in the car with Dave Egan and I shoot. So here we go. Let's let this roll. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. This video means a lot to me. It's not often you get two event hosts that do this full time that are as weird as Dave Egan and I. He throws drift games and does all this other stuff, Drift Masters and this LZ event, and he just has such a unique life, and I do have obviously a very unique life and everything, doing all the weird stuff I do from drift games, Lone Star Drift and everything. So anyways, please enjoy this. The real star of the LZ festival is taking me to the airport right now, and we're gonna do his interview. So first of all, if you guys have been watching all the LZ Festival information or like videos and all the contents and everything, this is the man that's responsible for everything. So tell him thank you in the comments. But this is Dave Egan of Drift Games.
Hello.
And Adam. I want to talk about the event because I am an event host and the logistics of everything are I think what are interesting.
Sure.
Did Adam know what he was doing before he got here?
To a certain extent, Adam knew the format, schedule, what we were doing, but Adam's schedule is so hectic that also we knew the venue, we knew everything about the event, so it was kind of easier for us to do it than Adam, because if we were all arriving to a location that nobody had ever been to before, it would be the same boat. But we'd done so many events in Mandela, we knew what would work, what wouldn't work. So it was, Adam was part of the process the whole way through, but more from an overseeing point of view that it fitted what he had a vision for the whole event, and then we kind of did more of the groundwork, I say, is probably what we did.
My point is Adam probably didn't even know where to stand. You told him where to stand. You told him where to go. Everything. You were the person that put everything together. So congratulations, and everybody should say thank you.
Well, not just me, all my team. So my team, it's not.
Oh yeah, of course your team. Yeah. I think of your team as an extension of you.
Yeah, but my team are the guys that actually physically make a lot. I do a lot of the decision making and the planning and the concepts and the promotion. But they're the ones that make the videos, do the lists, make sure everything's ordered, collect everything. So they worked super hard on this one. There was times when they were under very big pressure and they didn't crumble and they got everything sorted. So I was super thankful for them. And yeah, it's a team effort. I'm the face of it, but I'm not the body of it, if you want to put it that way.
Do you want to explain how that works? How many people are on your team? Because I was watching at the event, it looked like you had a 7-person media team. It was insane.
Yeah, so we have some guys that work for Drift Games full time. So there's 7 of us that do that. From my dad, who does all the financials, basically doing the budgets, paying everybody, making sure everything is so legitimate and nobody gets missed out or forgotten about with all the chaos, that everyone gets paid and is happy. Then we've got Adam O'Connor, who is the operations on this one. So he's on the ground guy, building everything, making sure everything's good, cherry pickers, screens, making sure the fencing's done, all that kind of stuff. And then we've Keane, who's running all the live stream, and he was sort of coordinating all of the small details that we might have forgotten about. We have Josh, you guys know from Drift Games, our YouTube channel. He does all of our videography, so he was doing all the vlogs while it was going along. And then we had Blaine, who was another videographer helping Josh, because Josh was trying to do a vlog a day. So one was shooting while one was editing. And then Tavitas was the one that would do our social media, so all of the media team would push all the media to him, and then he would distribute it, so it doesn't all just kind of bunch up together. So he was kind of laying it out, and that was kind of all a little system working out throughout the whole thing. And then we have an extension of that, which is the same media team that are part of our team for Drift Masters. So that's Jordan Butters, who is an ex-Speed Hunter, is photographer, does a lot of magazine shoots. He was on photography. Bandana Boy, who's Lucas, who does videography. He was doing all the reels and the TikToks. And then we had Adam Ivel, who was basically a presenter for us in Drift Masters. He was doing TikTok stuff, Instagram, updating people where to go and what to do. And who else did we have? I'm definitely going to forget. And Ian Waddington, who was doing commentary with Eddie Power in the tower. So there was about 70 to 80 staff doing the event.
70 to 80?
Yeah, but that was also including security and,
yeah,
you know, all those people that we don't know that are just kind of hired for the weekend. So from our team, there was about 37 are full-time, and the rest would have been part-time, sort of subcontracted for the event. So they're all guys we've worked with before. And the track managers and everybody else who was helping are probably people who've worked with us on Drift Masters or Irish Drift Championship or whatever in the past. So they're like the A team. They kind of know what they do. So a lot of my job was just putting all those people in their place, and they're all very good at what they do. So I didn't have to worry about them for the weekend.
So it took 70 to 80 people to host that event on the ground. Yep. 8 weeks of planning.
That was the hardest part, was the short run time, because you're trying to get merchandise, you're trying to get screens, and at the same weekend there was a big music festival not so far away which has about 70,000 people, so resources were down. So we would have liked to put more grandstands in, but that was all that was available. Kind of screens, that was all that was available. So we kind of had to work around that, and with 8 weeks notice, it's not a lot of time when you start going through it. It was fun though, and to be honest, we had to run Drift Masters events and go compete and do other shows in the meantime. So every single weekend in that 8 weeks, so the 7 weeks leading to it, we did something else.
Crazy.
It feels it now. I'm very tired.
I bet.
Yeah, it was, and again, it's my guys are so passionate about what they do. They're very achievement based. Like, they wanted to make history. They wanted to be part of something that was bigger than anything we've done before. And I think we hit all the marks between the branding and making sure everybody got. And I mean, I think everyone at home from the event with a smile on their face, whether they're working it or watching it or driving it. And that's the ultimate goal from those type of events, that there's no stress for anybody who's there doing something pivotal at the event. They're all enjoying their job. They're enjoying what they see. And I think everyone just came together, especially the Irish car community, like came together and said, we're going to put our best, face forward for this, bring our best cars, do our best things. So it was nice to see everybody working together on the event, not just our team and Adam and say the international guests, but the whole Irish community, drift community and car community coming together, what I've never seen before, coming together for one event to go, well, if the world is watching, we want to put like Ireland on the map. And I think they definitely did that.
It was fantastic. Are your drift games or Drift Masters events the same scale of how many staff, or is it more or less?
They're probably the same in terms of, so a lot of people will think, okay, there was a bigger attendance at the LZ Festival than there was at Drift Masters. However, Drift Masters is an international product, so its staffing goes into high production, high level distribution. So it's on like 30 TV channels, it's on Red Bull TV, it's all over the world. So from a people watching it point of view, Drift Masters would have the whole world watching it. But from an in-person point of view, LZ Festival would have been bigger. Does that make sense?
Do you actually think that there's more people watching, or I guess, are there more people, not just like the distribution, like 700 million homes could be watching Drift Masters? Are there actually more people watching it by the numbers?
Yeah, this year it's grown huge. I think we do 2.5 to 3 million people watching.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's an accurate figure, as in it's not just who could be, but that's what Red Bull can see through their analytics, because they control their platform of Red Bull TV, so they have all the analytics. They're not going through a third party like Facebook or YouTube or whatever, so they're very accurate on it. Yes, this year it's been huge. It's just been a strange year because Drift Masters has been so successful, the LZ Festival has been so successful, our channel has grown a lot. It's been really good buzz this year because we've had a lot of, let's say maybe 9 years of like really slow growth or not growing at all. And now it's like finally maybe all that perseverance is paying off, so it's a very nice feeling.
So what's going to happen next year and over the next 5 years?
Oh, it's whatever.
As I dive,
people were asking me that on Sunday evening. I was like, I haven't even got through this one yet.
Yeah.
I think what we found is that there's two very different trains of thought. I think we talked about this when I did the announcing in English Town. I was like, there's two very different trains of thought with drifting. There's high competitive drifting, which people like because it's the best of the best doing what they do, which Drift Masters and Formula Drift do. And then there's another layer where it's kind of still cool stuff. It's very competitive, but it's more about the fun and the enjoyment factor, maybe like a Grid Life or an LZ Festival. So those two things have a room for everybody. And a lot of fans, I think, like both. They do like seeing the best guys compete. They also like seeing everybody have a bit of fun and it's not so serious. So you've got two sides of the coin. I think that's what I'm going to try and do from now on, is very much, push the competitive side in Drift Masters as far as I can to be awesome to watch, as in the best of the best doing what they're good at. And then also have sometimes maybe more of a novelty event where it's like something different, something with a bit of hype. People don't really know what to expect. I think you saw that at the LC Festival. You watch a Lamborghini comes out and there's burnouts. You don't know what's going to happen at any point. It's a little bit more like a show. And I don't think you can do that with a Drift Masters and FD, because it kind of takes away from the seriousness of what's happening.
Yeah.
So both work really well, and they're a nice contrast to each other. So I think they both sit very well side by side. So we might do more LZ festivals in Europe. We're talking about it, maybe doing a couple to just see what the demand is like for it. Drift Masters will obviously still grow from strength to strength, and then Drift Games will be in the background filming all the behind the scenes and all that stuff and showing off what's going on in general car culture, I think, outside of it. So we've got the serious stuff, the fun stuff, and then the kind of exploring all around it. That's kind of what we want to do for the next couple of years.
So do you think that all these other YouTubers are now going to realize they can do festivals? Because say if your YouTube channel grows as quickly as it has been, within 24 months you could be doing Drift Games festivals and bypass Adam. You know what I mean? And have your own thing. Is that the ultimate goal?
No, I think the ultimate goal for me is that I think Adam has such a strong brand that he sits on the top and he brings the other people together because of his... if he's there, people know it's going to be a serious event. He's not going to put his name to something that isn't going to be good. I also think that naively, people might think that you can run it because you've got popularity, but the reality is you need a huge amount of experience and team to actually pull it off. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the limiting factor, not the whether people would go or not. But if you're a big YouTuber and you put on a festival and it doesn't run like clockwork and everybody's disappointed, then that can be actually more damaging for you than the money you would make from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's a brand game. Like if someone's disappointed, now you got to remember Adam puts his name on that event. If it was a bad event, that all comes back on Adam to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So I think that you've got to be very careful who you partner with, who you team with, and make sure that everybody's pulling in the same direction. So it's not as easy as just saying, I'm very popular, I'm going to run a festival. Because as you know from running events, there's a lot more than just putting a name on the billboard or putting some hype in it. The actual event has to run like clockwork. And I think my guys, not specifically me, but my guys did that at the weekend. And I think that made everybody like the idea of it. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot more moving parts to it than just the one name. But that definitely starts the spark of the fire.
Yeah.
My opinion.
All this stuff makes me think a lot. I watch Cletus. I think Cletus, well, I don't really watch his content much. I don't watch a lot of YouTube. I go to YouTube mostly for how to fix my car when I break it.
Yeah. How to put batteries in a remote kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I think Cletus said he did a quarter of Bristol or something like that, ticket sales, which is probably like 37,000 people or something. So he just did a very large event as well. There's probably, and he was doing it before Adam, you know. Cletus, one more jump in size, could be selling out 60,000, 70,000 tickets.
Yeah, well, think about it. It's actually unusual that it's not that way, because I was saying this at the weekend. I was like, you know, if you had a concert and people go to a concert, they don't go like, this weekend, lots of music. You know what I mean? And that's what drifting was doing for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like, drifting's on at the weekend, and they're like, it's the same as saying, music is on at the weekend. You want to know who the acts are. Like, that's what brings the people to an event. I mean, if, you know, Drake does a concert, people will automatically sell it out. He's the draw. You know, they want to see personalities.
That's a good point.
So, like, that's why Cletus and Adam and these guys can do this, because they are the headline act, and then they have the supporting acts, and how strong that lineup is how many people will go and watch it. It's the same with boxing. You don't go, the boxing is on this weekend, come watch the boxing. It's like Jake Paul, he's not the best boxer in the world, but he's a good boxer, and he'll sell out an arena because he's very popular and people want to see what happens. That's why McGregor was so successful. You know, he was a very good fighter, but his hype brought people to the events. And I think if you look at drifting, I think we all missed a trick on that for like 9 or 10 years, going, we were selling the drifting. But when people have seen enough drifting, they go, well, the drifting isn't enough for me. I want to know who's drifting. And if they're big names and I get to meet them and interact with them and see what happens, then I'm interested in going. So I think that's what we're seeing, the next natural progression here. In my opinion, of course.
Yeah. I think also, for myself, we need better promoters or better promotion, or like, I need to get better at this. I was watching you over the past 8 weeks promote this event, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, no one has ever promoted a drift event like this. You know, like, you guys did an amazing job.
Yeah, and we had a lot to promote though, you know, like, I mean, there was a lot of cool cars, a lot of cool people. It wasn't like, again, as I was saying, we weren't going, the drifting is on, come watch the drifting. So we had like first time cars being released. We had debuts of machines that have been sitting there for 4 or 5 years. We had a really big car show with very cool stuff. And then we had Adam, Colette, Jimmy, James Dean, you know, with all these guys that people just want to come see whatever they do because they watch them on YouTube and they feel like they're personally part of their journey. So they want to be live at a part of their journey, you know, which is unusual. They don't get to do that a whole lot. So I think we've always been very good at promoting stuff, whether it's Drift Masters, Drift Games, LZ Festival, whatever. But the product was very good this time, so it made it a little bit easier for us.
Yeah.
It was a fun promotion because it was like Irish people would say, this will never happen. You know what I mean? We would never get to see it. And then they were like, oh my God, it is happening. And I think when Adam landed in Ireland and we showed photos of him there, people were like, this is really happening. Like, this is two worlds colliding. This is the people that I know talking to the people that I watch on YouTube every day in my country. So it gets that little excitement going. And I think there's a level of pride in the Irish people of hosting big events and being put on the map and representing themselves well. And I think they like the nation being proud, you know, like, because obviously seeing Adam LZ in America, he's in America, but when he travels, people are like, oh, I'm going to go watch this because I may never see him again, you know, drift a car or whatever. So I think, you know, Adam was obviously the name that drew everybody, but I think if you look at the rest of the drivers and that, everyone had an interesting story. There was very cool cars. Everyone was there was no battle where you went, oh, this is boring. You know, there was the best of the best from Europe and Ireland and UK, everyone there as well. So it was a nice melting pot of enough that people go, well, I have to go see this. And then the show itself, we wanted it to be non-stop action. I think we nailed that. And then at the end of it, I was like, that is probably the most entertaining drift show I've ever done.
Yeah, I know, it's fantastic.
Are you suffering with 7 days of tiredness too, Aaron?
Yeah, I know, I'm super tired. It's funny that, like, I'm shoving a camera in your face and you're like, yeah, we kind of have to do this. Like, you know, we all know our jobs and we all know what we're doing. And, like, it doesn't stop. We're a week after the event almost, and it's still going. And yours was going on, you know. People don't realize how much it takes to do events. I think the drivers do, kind of, because they build cars and they, you know, they're used to it taking weeks of prep to get something done or all the effort. But even the drivers don't really understand how much work it is.
Yeah, but I don't think, I mean, I understand that. I mean, you don't go to a concert and you're halfway through the concert and you go, God, it's going to be a lot to take all this down. You know, like, nobody cares. Nobody goes.
I absolutely think that.
But like, from our perspective, we'll be like, wow, there's a lot of infrastructure here, whatever. But most people will just come, they want to see the show, and they want to then they start their lives again on the Monday, and you're tearing things down. My boys were 2 days tearing it down. It took us like 8 hours to get the cars back out of Mondello to our shed, and then you're straight into filming content, straight into doing tours of Ireland with Jimmy. Like, and again, we take every opportunity that we can get, because you could say, oh, I'm tired and I've done this, but I'm like, when are we going to get the chance to hang out with Night Ride and Jimmy Oaks and stuff in a more casual environment, or you in Ireland? I'm like, you got to have time for all that, and just, you know, you have enough time to sleep when it's all over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When there's nothing to do next Tuesday and it's just raining in Ireland, I'll be like, well, we got a lot out of what we did for that week, so we pushed.
All right, it's now train me. I'm hosting Drift Week. Train me. How should I be?
You've done more events than me.
Yeah, but you do bigger events.
But again, it's like,
you're a better salesman. How do I sell Drift Week 6 to people? I need audience, you know, spectators, especially because it's a pretty laid-back experience when we're at the event doing public stuff.
Sure.
Every day is kind of what it is. Like, we're not going to have huge car shows and, you know.
Well, you have a lot of characters.
Like, we do have a lot of characters.
That's the thing. So, like, James Dean, if you were ever going to meet James Dean, who I think is the best driver in the world, in my opinion, super humble guy, will talk to everybody. James Dean will go to Formula Drift. There's lines and queues for people to meet him. He doesn't just wander around. You can go to Drift Week, meet James Dean, have a conversation with him. He can come look at your car, and he can even drive another car on Drift Week and drive and go, you know, you need to change, you need to do this. This is like a machine that has been designed and genetically enhanced to just drift. So if you put him in your car, within 2 minutes, he can tell you exactly what to change on your car to make it better. And where are you going to go? You're not going to go racing on a track day, and Lewis Hamilton's going to jump into your car and say, yeah, you should change this, change that. That'll never happen. But in drifting, James Dean will be there to do that, alongside other drivers that are on the lineup that you get to see him drift with that you would never see him drift with. So, like, that's one piece of drifting. And you got all the other celebrities and people coming that you get to meet and talk with. So, like, again, it's like a more casual version of LZ Festival. So, for example, LZ Festival, you're at hand's length away from all these guys because there's so many people. But at Drift Week, you can go and talk to all these guys, and they're happy to talk and converse with everybody and give advice. So that's so invaluable. You pay a ticket as a spectator, and you can end up figuring out what's wrong with your car, figuring out what's wrong with your driving for $20 or whatever. That's very impressive.
How about it? I feel like it's stepping over the line though. Like, say Adam, y'all had a contractual, relationship, selling the event, selling him as the product. I don't want to sell James Deaner the product, as the product, or involve them so much if they're not, a cut of the event and all these different things.
These guys are passionate about drifting.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, they are all big stars and whatever, they like talking to people about drifting. They like talking to new people. They like giving advice. They want to see the next generation of drifting continue, because if drifting, people lose interest, they have no jobs. Mm-hmm. So they want people to be excited about it, give them a helping hand, give them a leg up.
That's
so
a good perspective.
Yeah, I don't think those guys have any issue, or I do, talking to people about cars, talking to people. The amount of people I will talk to about getting into, because we're small scale YouTube, so it's very hard for them to talk to Adam or Jimmy or whatever, because they are so far up.
Yeah.
But for us to just survive a little bit on YouTube, just to have enough to do what you want to do, I'm happy to give that advice to anybody, and I would love to see that community grow more.
Mm-hmm.
So I could stand all night with a beer talking to guys about what we did, what failed, what didn't work. I can give you very little advice on driving now because I'm not that good at that. But when it comes to marketing, I have no problem telling people how to run events or whatever.
I feel like a bunch of the drivers we had, such as Chelsea or Matt Field or Adam or the really, really high-end guys that have hectic schedules, they kind of enjoy Drift Week because it's like a private vacation where there's no spectators and no one can get to them. And I don't want to mess that up, if you know what I mean. I don't want that's why, so the reason why we do public days isn't really to bring in more money to Drift Week. I mean, it is, but mostly it's so that I can try and get some money in the pockets of the lower end drivers by doing ride-alongs.
Yeah.
And then also the crowd experiencing it a bit. But I don't want to go maybe more than 30% public days, if you know what I mean.
No,
on Drift Week.
I completely get all that. And I think at the same time, you have to make some money, because the more money Drift Weeks makes, the more it can do cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that I hate about drifting, is when people talk about money as a negative.
Oh, I know.
Everyone's like, everyone's poor and should be poor and blah, blah, blah. The more an organizer or a promoter, and I used to say this a lot in Ireland, makes money, generally, like me and you, they're stupid enough to just gamble that money back into cooler and bigger things. So without it, you can't. You got to kind of play it safe. So you wouldn't see big events from me unless people invested in us and bought tickets and whatever. So there's no harm in that, I think, because you can push the boat out a little bit more. And for those drivers, again, they have a good split on Drift Week. Some days it's very chill and they get to hang with their friends and be relaxed. And other days they're happy to just interact with the fans, because let's be honest, that's what makes them money, is interacting with fans. Because if you talk to a fan for 10 minutes, they're a fan for life. You know what I mean? They met their hero. You see people meet James, for example, and they meet him and 10 minutes, say wow, I had a great conversation, and they just love James even more.
Yeah.
So it's good for him. They'll buy some merch, they'll follow him around, they'll buy a ticket to see him drive. So that's what it's all about. I think nobody has a problem with being popular in drifting, because it's unusual that anyone's popular in drifting. It's such a niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all fresh and new to everybody. He's not Bruce Springsteen. He's not 30 years in, people shouting at him. This is new to everybody. So I think everyone's excited about that, and I don't think you should be afraid of letting people meet them, because I think they enjoy it.
All right. What else? What else do I need to do on Drift Week? Come on, throw me ideas.
I think told you that socializing is a big part of drifting.
Yeah.
Socializing, having a few drinks, having a chat, that stuff is just as important as the driving. I think that's what we've always noticed. We tried to do 2 parties over the weekend at the Aussie Festival, and the fans being able to be in a relaxed environment, meet the drivers, whatever, but also the drivers having, conversations that it's hectic at the track. They're focusing on the car, they're focusing on fixing things, they're focusing on tires, blah, 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 blah. When they get out of the track and go to have a few drinks, that's when they can just actually chill out, let go, have a few opinions on things, have a debate, have a discussion. And that can be just as fun for people as the driving is. You focus a lot on different types of drivers driving with each other, but you should focus as much as those different types of drivers sharing opinions and conversations. And I think if you're just driving and then traveling and driving and traveling, you probably don't have that much time to actually sit down and have a conversation with someone. And I think that's what I think is some of the best parts of drifting, is having unusual characters have conversations and get to know each other and network and be friends. And then you might have one guy that ends up inviting another guy to his country and all this stuff just from conversations that happen in the pits. And that's what I loved about the US, was the conversations for us were just as important as the event itself. And believe me, if I didn't have the free time, I wouldn't have had the conversation with Adam, and we wouldn't be here having this interview.
Yeah.
So that's a really important part of it, I think.
Oh, did it start on Drift Week?
It was on your event, the English Town event, but that was Drift Week.
Yeah.
That's when we started the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
okay,
sparked
I was
you
there for
having a
that. I think I
conversation with me.
remember. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's crazy to think. I tell people all the time, like, I look back and I remember the exact moments where something started, and then, like, so for that English Town event, we started there. I did the first LZ event. You did this one. There's been some in the middle already, I think, but
Yep.
they kind of don't exist in my brain.
But I think you're a big part of bringing people together, and that's probably as good an organizer as you are and amazing with drifting. Your biggest how you're contributing to drifting is you're bringing people together through your events that would never meet each other, and then creating massive things, and sometimes with you, sometimes without you, but it's all good for the sport. And that's why we wanted you here this weekend, because if you didn't bring me to English Town, I wouldn't have created this event. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, you have to be given your dues for how many relationships you've started, how many people have met each other because
Thanks.
of you, and then that's your influence across the sport, keeping it strong. So you're like a core member of, this guy met this guy and then they did something, and even if it's just a YouTube video or a friendship thing,
Yeah.
these people would never have met each other if it wasn't for you.
The biggest thing about the meeting everybody is Drift Week makes it possible where it wasn't before, because, like, even at this LZ party, no single person really, unless you were in the background, you know, at the hotel rooms with people or, you know, something else, everything happens so fast at the LZ party, you couldn't possibly talk to someone for more than 40 minutes.
No.
And that's
the beauty of Drift Week. It's so, and I'm not saying it's so long.
It is.
I think it's a long trip, so you get to know people and bond with them because of your combined experience. So you get stories, you get laughs, you get, you know, people making fun of each other because of certain things that happen, and that creates, and it's an adventure. And when people share an adventure together, they've more of a bond than just shaking hands and saying hello, how are you. So I think
that's a hard thing to sell.
it is. And I think for people, I would say that drifting's great, and people think about the tires, the fuel, and the cars, and blah blah blah, and all of that is what we'll see focusing on. And people will be like, FD's better and Driftmaster's better, blah 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 blah. The reality is, memories and experiences are the only thing you take away from it. We're all gonna have no money at the end anyway. So, like, going and doing something where you live your best life for a couple of days, have fun, meet people you should never have met before, have an experience, have an adventure on top of it. You come back, like my boys Adam and Josh went, and they came back and they had so many stories, and they were so, I mean, at the time they were tired and whatever, but they just couldn't get over how many stories they had, people they'd met, friends they'd met. I mean, how can you put a price on that kind of stuff? Because when people go drifting normally, they're putting a price on their car because they want to win or beat a competition or whatever. What would you pay to have, like, one of the best weeks of your life and meet people that you'll know for the rest of your life? What's the price on that? So I think it's pretty reasonable what you charge for it. So I think that's what I would say is the benefit of something like Drift Week. And I'm pumped to go because I even missed the last one. I only got 2 days.
You keep missing them.
It's like 2 days of it. And then I was like, from the 2 days I saw, I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And that was only a taster. And this year, obviously, I'm going to do the whole thing. So that's probably the most excited thing I've been about all year.
By the way, imagine hosting that first LZ party at the same time as a Drift Week, all mixed together.
I don't know how you did that.
And I did Fuel Fest, which had like 800 people in Texas on the same day. I hosted 3 things at once, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
And it all worked
That was
out.
like, I was having like panic attacks.
But
I also didn't sleep for like 3 days.
yeah, but you got through it. And everything worked. And everyone had a good time at all 3 events.
Yeah.
So for drifting, that's like an impressive feat, because some people fall apart just doing one event, and you seem to be able to do them multiple things. I mean, you talk about an LZ festival, I'm going, I that's what I know. But if it was a Drift Week, I would find that very, very hard to do, because there's so many moving parts and traveling and distances and stuff. So hats off to you for that. I really
Well, the
think
big thing is it's lower quality.
but there's a lot more of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No,
it's
yeah,
like, it's not like, 2 days and see you later.
All right. Well, that was perfect timing.
Right.
We didn't get in a wreck. We did a whole interview. We're at the airport. Thank you so much. You were an amazing host. I have to say, I should point the camera at myself. Especially for the guys watching YouTube, if you've made it this far, my drifting thing has been... Can I turn this down for a second? Sorry. My whole drifting adventure on YouTube and just in general has been like a cultural experience for so long. Like he said,
I started hosting events like in 2003 and up until, I don't know, because I did have a bunch of superstar drivers come in, but for a certain amount of time, it was very stagnant. Like it was like, come to the drift event. And then somewhere around 2012, I guess I did do a bunch of like pro series and do D1, but that was different. At a certain point, like drifting became this huge cultural experience for me, traveling around the world, meeting incredible people, not doing the same thing all the time. Especially with Drift Week, I've done like 25 different tracks or something like that in the past 2 years, which is insane on Drift Week. I've been to Ireland now. I go to Japan all the time, except for the virus stuff. Like without drifting, my life would be really boring. And that's why I quit my previous career and job and everything, and this is what I do full time. So even when we don't make great money, or even when, you know, times are really tough or things are, because as an event host, sometimes you're making money. No one cares when you're losing money.
No.
Like, and losing money drastically.
And they only count it when you win. They don't count when you lose.
Yeah, no.
Because no one's at those events to see it.
Yeah. I was going to say the whole drifting thing back and forth has been such an amazing ride. I meet incredible people. Just like you, I know probably more than 3 or 4 billionaires.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's
We
cool.
know how many billionaires are there in the world, and we know a significant amount of them.
Yeah, I probably know 4.
And I don't, the money thing isn't what is the entertaining part. The entertaining part is you meet all these incredibly influential people that literally can buy little nations.
But think about it another way. To have the experiences that people would have on Drift Week or your events or meeting these people, you would need to either be really rich or really successful at what you do. And you just offer that to normal people to come and hang with the people that are either really rich, really successful, or really cool.
Well, that's a good point.
And you give that to them. And other than you doing that, nobody would ever be able to hang out with those people for a whole week. So that's a very cool thing. And you've done all this experience stuff. You probably don't realize it. You've done all the experience stuff. You've experienced it. And now you're giving it back to other people saying, no, I want you to experience it because I've just done this.
I just want to go drive all these tracks and have fun.
But you're saying,
And then-
come with me. Instead of going, I'm Aaron, I'm going to do all this fun stuff and watch me do it. You're saying, no, you come do it with me. And I'm like, that's a very nice thing because you're giving it back to those people.
You know what's crazy? I just realized there was people that went outrageously out of their way to drive this LZ event. You know, that built entire cars or finished things. Drift Week, they could just go hang out with these YouTubers for 2 weeks. I'm selling that.
Yeah, but as I said, in this side of the
You're
world...
like, don't take my customers.
No, I'm saying like this side of the world, Drift Week is not as easy or as possible.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying these
Like, you
people could fly over and do
they
Drift
could.
Week.
Absolutely. And I said I would suggest to anyone to. I don't know why Drift Week. Like I think if you're a drifting person, like that's a bucket list trip. Like you know,
Yeah.
you can go on a holiday to anywhere and you will just be with the person you're with on that holiday, doing normal tourist stuff that everybody else has done, and you can Google, or you can go do something that very few people have done. And if you're a drift fan, like to drift, like Josh went last year, he was doing like twin battling in the middle of Arizona with Forrest Wang. Like, how do you even? He's going like, how do I even explain this to someone when I go home? That was so cool. So
Did he explain that to people, and did people
people were like,
out?
what? And he's like, yeah, I was drifting
In his Formula D car.
in his Formula D car. I was in a standard BMW M3 and he was pushing me around the track in Arizona, and he's like, look, I have the picture to prove it. He had to take out pictures to go, seriously, this happened. And we met so many fun people. He met so many fun people. It made him a better driver too, for sure. But that's the thing, like you can't put a price on memories and experience. People try to, but I think you offer it almost as a guarantee. You're going to go on Drift Week, you're going to meet cool people, you're going to do cool stuff, and that's why we are literally booked in like a year in advance going, we're there, we're getting cars ready, we're going, and we're going to do a lot more media on it this year to show people that the ins and outs of that. I think from that perspective of like how much fun it is.
One last thing. Do you plan how many pieces of media you're going, like YouTube videos you're going to do on a trip? How many do you have to do?
We can do as many as we see possible. It depends. Like, I mean, for a Drift Week, we'll probably do one every 2 days because there's quite a lot happening. It generally, how much YouTube we do is depends on how much is happening. I don't want to make videos where it's like, we did nothing today, nothing happened, and then just do a talk. So we want to kind of keep it upbeat. So with the last 5-6 days, we did 5-6 videos or whatever we did because there was so much to do, but also I had 2 editors, so it was easier. But when we go on Drift Week, Josh is going to very much focus on the lifestyle part of Drift Week this time and not so much on his own driving. Okay. And I'm going to do some driving with James Dean, and we're going to kind of hook up together to make a lot of content between the two of us of our experience of it.
Okay. I keep trying to come up with ways to like film 3 episodes a day or something and then release them over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Mine is like a interview based thing and then car reviews and different things. I'm always trying to come up with like unique ways to do content cost effectively, because vlogging can become incredibly
expensive, if you know what I mean.
It is, I know.
Because you have to be interesting.
Yeah.
And right now I'm just pointing a camera at you and you have to be interesting.
Yeah, it's easier when you're that way. But I think we are Drift Games. We are a brand. We show our experiences. But I think in one way, we show a lot of what everyone else is doing as well, because that's the bit that actually interests us. We like seeing what other people do, and it's not solely focused on our experience. We have that in it, obviously, but it's mostly like, look at this guy doing it, talk to this guy, and make it look cool and make it look happy and have a good time and entertaining. And I think we did it the boys did it last year without me, but I think this time we've got a better plan of how we're going to do it more realistically. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes out. I'm actually so pumped for that event because I get to sit back and watch Aaron stress over all his events, and I go, I'm just driving a car. I don't have to worry about anything. It's such a novelty for me.
I want to go on Drift Week and not have to host it sometime, but that's never going to happen.
No.
No one's dumb enough to host these things.
Nope, just you.
The secret to these is they're so complicated, expensive, and then also high risk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Because you have to book 8-9 track days in advance and pay for them before you sell anybody, because you can't promise, to take anybody's money if you can't pull this shit off.
No.
And if you don't sell enough tickets and it's so terrifying.
Aaron,
the first two were bloodbaths.
Yeah, but you always pull it off. And I said, even if you don't pull it off to exactly what you want, there's enough story and drama to make everybody interested to see how you'll do it again.
Well, I was going to say the only reason I pull it off is because I don't worry about it financially. I mean, I worry about it, but I'll do it regardless.
You do it for passion, and if you do it for passion, you'll always give a shit more than someone doing it for money, which means it'll always work.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. We're at the airport. I will see you in 2 months on Drift Week. Yes. This is wild how much all of us see each other. Like, you've seen Jimmy Oakes and Adam, and like the whole YouTube crew sees each other all the time.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. And I want to come back to the next LZ festival. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
I'll invite you to if we do another one.
Oh, I'll be there.
You'll be there.
You know I can't ever not go when the weather's so bad.
You'll announce. You're like, no, I don't want to announce.
I'll announce.
We'll bring those Irish guys over and they'll announce.
Yes, perfect.
Right. They did amazing. Perfect.
Yeah.
Bye. All right. Airport time. Thank you, Ireland. You're an amazing host. See you later.
And in the spirit of me becoming a better salesman, you need to come out to round 5 of Lone Star Drift. If you're a spectator, you need to ride along in the cars. You need to see the best drivers in Texas having a blast. This is grassroots drifting. It is super fun. It's relaxing. If you are a driver, you need to come tandem with the best guys. We need you there so we can have an amazing weekend. Enjoy it. Never going to get another chance to do this again, ever, until round 6. And also thank you to all the sponsors such as BC Racing Custom Coilovers, WhatMonstersDo.com, NK Wheels, Velino Tires, ECU Master, KBD Body Kits, and Spec Clutch. Come out, hang out with us, have a good time. Don't bring alcohol. It's a police station.